Welcome back to another lovely Sunday morning here at Natural One Media. My name is Dylan, and I will be leading our group through another session of Dragonmark Symphony. Last time we played together, the group had found themselves in this peculiar little village on an island. Real quick pop quiz. Everybody remember the name of the island? Go.
Cressia.
Correct. You live to see another day.
2 + 3 is
What?
4. Quick maths.
Quick maths. It's gonna.
Thinking about that
So
yesterday.
yeah, the island of Cressia, which has this village, and it's a very unique village because it seems to be populated by a assortment of people that are duplicates or replicas, if you will,
Or
of-
clones.
or clones. We
One
can't
might
call them
say.
zombies. You don't understand. We can't call them zombies. If we call them zombies, people will understand what's going on.
Right.
These
As long as
duplicates
they don't attack.
of someone named Taurik Yates, who the
Yeah.
party has never ever met before.
No, it sounds like an asshole.
Kind of sounds like a chode, if I'm being honest.
Yep.
You know. And they were brought to sort of the quote unquote elder of the island, who really is just like the first clone that was made of Taurik Yates,
Would make them
And-
the oldest clone.
which would make them the oldest clone.
Yes.
But there's also a contributing factor that they seem to be going through this sort of accelerated aging process. And as the elder kind of explained to all of you, the sort of the long history of how the island came to be and how these clones of Tower Gates happened. And I'm sure you all recall it with, spot on detail. Right, Bennett?
Oh. Good for the
I
throat.
plead,
Teacher, I was eating my homework. I wasn't ready.
I plead the fifth.
I just realized the first clone is being solid snaked right now, with the accelerated aging and everything.
Kind of.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little
think
bit.
about it.
A little bit.
Wait, what was the question again?
Well, how did all these clones come to be? Where did they all come from? What?
Cressius the wizard, I believe his name, and his assistant Gregory. They were just like performing experiments, and they were trying to figure out like a perfect mirror image spell. So they started cloning Taurik Yates over and over again on this island until they made TYZ, who was a perfect clone, and then they left the island. Gregory and TYZ never came back, and Cressius did eventually come back years later, but he was like a changed man. He'd undergone the hero's journey, though he's probably not a hero.
He underwent
Like,
a
that's-
journey.
A journey.
I don't know. A
Some of the
journey
things
for
in that
sure.
tower.
But yeah, that's
I'm reluctant to call him a hero.
Yeah, not a lot of heroic things were happening.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a very good summation of it. There were these two wizards that were kind of working together, and they created all these clones, and the clones developed their own sense of autonomy.
Hello.
All right, Franny.
Yeah.
McKenna.
Oh, are we
Yeah.
doing this now?
Well,
Yeah.
What?
McKenna.
I muted. Well, I muted the stream and paused the recording, so just in case you didn't want it, just like be out there. So okay, so we're good. We're good now.
They created these clones, they established this island, and the clones seem to have kind of developed their own sense of autonomy. They are very much, developing their own identities, and they have created this settlement where they are sort of living out their days. They actually do sort of engage a little bit with the mainland. There was some talk about how they have, this boat that they charter to travel to the nation of Brayland, which many of you are familiar with, and occasionally visit a few places. Some of the clones have actually established lives in Corvair and have not, really returned back. But yeah, you talked about this with the elder, and then the reason for you sort of, trying to find the proprietor of the tower in the first place, the situation that Silva is currently involved in, reared its ugly head, in a matter of speaking. Silva did not feel very good. They were feeling very sick. Luckily, they succeeded in their role instead of failing it, so they coughed up a few rats onto the table.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Which
right.
were actually fully alive until Set immediately took care of that problem.
Thank you, Seth. Doing God's work.
And then I got choked out for it.
I believe it was here. Yeah, TYR, who immediately sort of reappeared, sort of pushed Set away, restraining them back. They had briefly left the room to fetch some sort of a moss-based substance that the island residents had created, because one of the clones, weirdly enough, also showed signs of lycanthropy, even though they had never been bitten. They had shown these signs essentially from the moment that they were created. So there's this extract, this moss extract that they've made to kind of suppress the side effects and kind of not fully cure it, but be able to, stabilize them. But Silva was nice enough to toss a couple rats up on the table. And then the nearby window, exploded inward, just completely shattered, glass thrown everywhere, as everybody was thrown into disarray and confusion about what was going on. And that is where we cut right back in. So we are in the elders' meeting room here. The table and the ground and the chairs, everything is littered with, there's glass and splinters of wood all over. The Set, TYR is still sort of keeping you at bay, though with the explosion of the window, they've sort of stepped from you slightly, kind of giving you a little bit more room to breathe. Everyone now is on their feet, including the elder, as well as TYJ, the archivist, who, when Silva coughed up these rodents, it seemed like they were kind of setting up some sort of a conjuration or a spell. But with the explosion of the window, everybody is just sort of frozen in place, shocked. And that is where we jump back in. So as the shards and sort of the glass dusting sort of slowly exits the room and settles, what do y'all do? What are we doing?
Bennett runs away.
Feel too good.
Bennett's like, fuck this, I'm out.
Lady Sever? Are you still Lady Sever?
Yeah.
If you weren't aware, you've vomited several rodents I don't believe that is normal.
Oh.
What of the window?
What? I'll be honest. I kind of stopped paying attention to a lot of things once when I realized I've bonneted up a rat.
Yeah.
I
So,
find that very distracting.
so the window explosion.
Mhm.
What is the window like? Was it like a bay window behind the elder, or was it just like small windows all along the area?
Not behind the elder, it was behind all of you. So it was like, if you picture yourselves walking into the room, the window was on it would be on the left, and it was this enormous, sort of like a bay window.
Okay.
On that left side.
Got it. I think Set will kind of just pull out their bow and just kind of be on guard for anything coming through.
Tyr immediately sort of sidesteps and moves away from you to give you full access to be able to reach for your bow. In like a swift motion, they kind of step over to where Silva is, and they produce a small like square package wrapped up in like parchment paper and a little bit of string, and they immediately hand it to you, Silva, and say, "Ingest this. It will help."
First time offered me something. This time I'm more inclined to potentially take it. Grab it.
You're cutting in and out a bit, Marshall, by the way. May need to increase your gain.
I'll increase these gains, bro. I said this is the first time that someone would have offered me it without explaining to me what's in it. This scenario, I'm a little more inclined to take it.
This is the moss extract that we have been able to develop. It uses some of the more poisonous plants that we've found on the island, as well as a mixture of moss gathered from the caves on the southern side of the isle. It is, in its current state, not harmful to you, but you will probably feel a bit of a numbing sensation when you ingest it.
Having drank it during his explanation of it.
You wouldn't
Do I
drink
immediately
it.
feel anything?
So it's what it is it's like you unwrap the parchment paper, and it's like a square. It's almost like a seaweed patty, like a little like square seaweed patty, with like tinges of blue that run through it. You take it and you immediately pop it into your mouth, and it's super chewy. It's like you took a whole pack of like Big League Chew and just like threw it into your mouth and began chewing on it.
Yum, yum, yum.
And you, as you're chewing on it, you can taste. There's definitely this like very minty sensation, and then you immediately begin to feel a kind of numbness on your tongue that spreads to the back of your throat, and then like a cooling sensation that begins to kind of spread throughout the rest of your body. Your heart rate immediately decreases. It becomes much lower. And everyone else, you see Silva's eyes like dilate immensely before returning back to their normal size.
Well,
Lady Silva, are you well?
that's a loaded question, but I'm more stable, and we'll stick with that.
Well, that's improvement at the very least.
It is.
So what was that explosion? Can I like look around the glass, the shattered glass?
Yeah, you can make an investigation check if you'd like.
I will do that. That's an 8.
So as I mentioned before, so the window burst inward into the room. There are pieces of glass everywhere. You do not immediately see anything like physically. You don't see anything that like maybe had been thrown into the window or would have been like a physical object that would have caused the window to be smashed in. You're kind of looking around like the bottom of the opening, and there's nothing there to suggest that it was like broken by any kind of physical force. TYR looks to the elder and says, "We should get you to safety in case we are under attack." And at that moment, somebody comes up on the other side of the window outside.
Okay.
Someone runs up. You see a this is a Tauric that you have not really met yet. He has an extremely
tell very easily.
thick.
Yeah.
He has a very thick, pronounced beard that hangs down, and really big, shaggy hair that's kind of pulled back and tied into a knot. And he runs up to the windowsill there. He's kind of shouting behind him, "Everyone else stay back. There's a lot of broken glass here. My goodness. Hello. What happened there? What is everyone all right? Elder, you okay in there?" The elder says, "Yes, we're fine. We're fine. Everyone is fine in here. Did you see what happened? Did you see why the window broke?" "No, none of us saw. We just heard the noise and came on over to investigate." "Oh, goodness. There's barely anything left of this thing. The whole thing was blown out." The elder looks to all of you. "I think it would be prudent if all of you were to finish your task, as it were. The mirror. We talked about the mirror in the cave on the south side of the island.
Yes.
If you wish to return back to the tower, I believe that is the only way to do so. We can have someone take you there.
Okay.
But I do warn you, it is not the safest place on our island. You would do best to tread carefully, especially when you are in the cave itself. It is not a normal cave."
Understood. We appreciate the warning. hopefully we'll be able to handle it summarily and get back to the tower. Appreciate everything that you've done for us.
And Elder, if we do manage to find Cressius, like, is there anything you want us to say to him? Or is there any way that you feel like we should deal with him? It sounds like he might be unwell.
We haven't seen him in quite some time. I suppose if it were me, I would just want to know that he is safe and that there was a plan that he intended to come back. But gosh, we've been able to hold our own for the most part here, and if he did not wish to return, we would be able to continue on. But it would be nice to have some answers as to why he would choose to leave in the way that he did, and what became of TYZ and of Grigori. Just answers would be nice.
Well, in exchange for your help, I suppose the least we could do is try to find you those answers you need.
Thank you. You are more than welcome to return. TYR, I believe young TYJ and myself will head for the barracks. Would you be so kind as to accompany this group to the cave? We need to further investigate what happened here with the window. And TYR nods and says, I will, Elder. They will not leave my sight. I will keep them safe. And the Elder nods to him and says, thank you. You have served us well. And TYR places a hand up to their chest and nods and says, of course, my Elder. Be safe. Our actions are our music. And the Elder nods. Our actions are our music. Thank you, TYR. With that, the main doors are opened again. A couple of the guardsmen come in to further survey the damage. You see some of the other Towerics are sort of approaching slowly from the outside. There's a lot of conversation happening as TYR gestures to all of you to follow him back out into the main hall of this building.
All right.
We'll follow.
Bringing you through the doors, there's a lot of Towerics have gathered in the hall, and there's many inquisitive looks towards you as you are brought through. You see Tiger looking at you with concern on her face, sort of sharing whispers with another young woman who has a lot of the same sort of similar facial features, though she is actually wearing this like rudimentary apron and appears to have been just in the middle of preparing food. You see many of the Towerics, as TYR sort of leads you through, many of the Towerics sort of step aside to give space as you walk by, and all of their eyes are focused on you as you pass. And eventually you take a right back out through the main doors, and you are once again out into the courtyard of the village. And TYR says, we shall move quickly. It shouldn't take us too long, maybe a half an hour's time to reach the cliffside. Just stay close.
Understood.
Okay. Lead the way.
Mm. And he does so. You walk out of the village, heading south. You pass by, small flower beds and vegetable beds that have been, sort of rudimentarily built and set up together. You can see the there are smaller residences kind of peppered about that become scarcer and scarcer as you walk until eventually you are a fair ways out of the actual settlement and back into sort of nature. You come into a forest that's very small, and you kind of move deftly through the trees. Tyr does not look back at all. He continues to just look straight forward as he moves at his very swift pace. There are trees as you go, but eventually they begin to become lesser and lesser, and you come into another clearing. There is a small handmade wooden bridge crossing over this very very thin babbling brook that sort of twists and turns through. You cross over the bridge with haste, and you can already see, not too far off in the distance, where the ground is sort of rising up to then meet some sort of a cliff. And as you are brought up towards it, you look out and you can see you have this very wide view of the ocean directly laid out before you. There are no boats or anything in sight. Many sharp rocks sort of decorate the edge of the cliff down below. And you are looking out and you don't see any signs of land in the distance or anything. It's just the blue water stretching out all the way out to the horizon.
You certainly picked a good island to start doing this experiment, but
Any
it's very beautiful
island
here.
really will fit the bill.
Yeah.
There is definitely a benefit to the seclusion, though. The mages put up other fortifications as well. And as you're kind of looking out, the sun is kind of, dipping down in the sky a bit, and you can just make out shimmers way off in the distance. Very, very light shimmers, very faint. And you all deduce, especially Silva, that the shimmering is very reminiscent of the invisible barrier that was around the tower when you were first attempting to enter it. TYR leads you. There's like a stone step path that's like it's like an immediate hairpin turn and then kind of hugs the wall of the cliffside, and you take it very thin, very precarious. I need all of you to make a dexterity check as you try to keep your balance walking down this very thin stairway.
This is what I was made for. I got a dirty 20.
Before I know the results, do I need to make this if I'm floating?
You get advantage. I'll say that. I'll say you
Okay.
have an advantage.
Is it a flat
There
dex
are
check
also-
or dexterity
there are also
saving?
winds. There are also winds that are picking up. You have gusts that are kind of whipping through. So even if you're floating, you're feeling the effects of that as well.
And it's a flat dex check, not
This is
dex
a-
saving.
This is a flat dex check.
Okay, 8.
Got me a natural 20.
Nice.
Got me a 9.
Okay.
Nat 20. Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, no, I have a
Use all
dirty
those
20. That
now.
was just like cheering on Fanny's.
Hey, I see you.
Gotcha. You are all able to make your way down these steps without too much trouble. The wind is definitely blowing. You feel it. You have to kind of like cling tight to yourself, to steady yourself, but you're able to make it. The path winds down and down and down until you get all the way down to you're like right by the water essentially, and there's just like these crashing waves crashing over top of the jagged rocks and smashing into the side of the cliffs. And you continue through until you round this sort of corner of the cliff facing, and you find that there is an enormous cave that is sort of ground into the side of this wall. Enormous. The ceiling of this cave mouth is like 14, 16 feet up in the air. And Tyr looks to all of you and says, I will continue to lead you a little further inside. It is very dangerous to slip and fall here. You could be carried out into the ocean very quickly. We have seen it happen before, I'm afraid.
Got it.
Thanks for your help here. Silva just flies over everything.
Mm-hmm. Tyr brings you around that corner.
When I get wet,
into...
when those things get wet, unfortunately, it becomes very hard.
Yeah,
fly.
That's true. Tyr brings you in around the corner, and you are now going into the actual cave mouth itself. You can see that there are numerous stalactites littering the ceiling, and as you progress further inward, they become longer and sharper, progressing in. Some of them still have bits of dew that are sort of dropping off the ends of them down to the ground. Getting further in now you have to dodge stalagmites that are peppering the ground. You're kind of weaving through them as if you're walking through like a graveyard. And the light is very quickly becoming dimmer and dimmer and dimmer as you progress further and further into this cave. Tyr looks to all of you. Do any of you have a torch?
Have a what?
A torch.
Something that can cast light.
Sure don't. Wait, I do in my backpack. I rummage around in my backpack and I pull it out. Does anyone have a way to light this, though? I don't think I have.
The light smell.
Oh, well, I put my torch back into the into my backpack, sadly.
Well, no. Here you go.
Oh, you're gonna cast light on it. Yeah, that way.
Yeah,
I also
end up on it, tap it.
I also have a hooded lantern that I can pull out and light.
There you go.
Dak puts his hand down because he was about to cast blessings to light the torch instantly, but decides against it.
You all produce these forms of light, and they illuminate the immediate area around you. You see on the wall something small skitters and like disappears off to find darkness again. Tyr looks to all of you. Cave crickets, pay them no mind. They are large, but they will not harm you as long as you do not try to harm them.
Okay. Pacifist. Enacting pacifism mode.
Tyr continues to lead you into the cave. And the cave, which was, the mouth of this cave was huge. But as you're approaching, you can see how the top of the cave is beginning to sort of recede, and the walls are also coming in a little bit more. There's still quite a bit of working room here. There's about 10 feet of fully open space on all sides. But it is definitely receding a bit from how large it was initially. Tyr kind of leads you in. you take a corner, and as you kind of turn left, kind of spiraling in, you find that there is a steel door that has been sort of mounted and set into this, into the stone down here. And Tyr turns to all of you. This was established by the mages. They used this cave for some of the magic research that they were conducting. The mirror should be inside still. It has been a long time since any of us have dared to enter here.
Is there a reason they chose such a precarious place to put their way to and from this island?
They wanted it, I imagine, to be difficult for thieves or strangers to find it.
I start like weaving around more like rocks and stuff. I'm like, hard to imagine elderly wizard walking through this, the sides of this cliff, but I'm just
I
gonna
do
keep
not
moving.
pretend to be an expert in mages, but they always do seem to have creative solutions to the problems that many others would have.
Fair enough.
This door, for example, is one of them. He gestures to the door, and you all notice that there is no handle on the door. It is just this large steel slab. There are runes, it appears like rune-like symbols that are carved from top to bottom in this door. Like hundreds of symbols and shapes and glyphs that have been like carved into the door. And Tyr gestures to the door and says, "As you can see, there is no handle."
That's a problem.
Speak, friend, and enter.
Tyr takes the hand
Go
and
again.
places it on the door, and sort of pats it, moves the hand around. At one point there was something here. Where was it? There was one of these symbols. You could trace it, and it would cause the door to turn like copper, and then you would be able to open it. But I cannot recall which of these symbols it was.
May I take a look at it?
Of course.
Could I make an Arcana check on this door?
Absolutely.
Sweet. Arcana. That's an 8.
You look at the door and you're trying to interpret any sort of like what sort of magic would be coming from the door, as well as looking at these like hundreds and hundreds of glyphs and runes that are carved into it. And you're not really recognizing any kind of immediate solution.
It would appear to be a door.
Indeed.
While the magic users are trying to figure this out, I will be posted up behind everyone, like keeping just like watch behind us to make sure that nothing sneaks up on us, because they said this area was dangerous.
Make a perception check.
$11.
You are able to make out in the distance from back from where you came from. You could see just faintly some of the cave crickets crawling along the walls, though they don't seem to be coming towards you at all. They seem to be just kind of doing their own thing. You do hear a little ways off, kind of like a gentle, like cooing noise, like a woo, 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 though you're not able to ascertain its origin. And it kind of echoes off the walls of the cave a little bit.
Gotcha. Just staying alert. I have my bow at the ready with the. I've like set the hooded lantern down or handed it off to someone else, so that's still shining enough light in the area.
Dak will take it.
Cool.
Oh, it's Sammy. Otherwise, definitely running into the same it's just the same issue.
Is there anything else you all would like to attempt with the door?
Dak will look at the door and say, after ye Simpson. After the same phrase he said to that one fake door over in the castle.
You see that the door, in the light of the torches and the lantern that are being held up, that from the points where Tiwire had placed his hand upon it, a sort of green and bronze spreads out and begins to like form in long streaks over the door and begin to sort of expand, filling in the runes and the glyphs. And Tyr looks to you and says, there was a phrase as well. I had forgotten.
No, aunt. Pardon the sudden question, but were either the wizard or his assistant Riedran?
Adrian, I have heard of this place. It is very far from here. I am sorry, I cannot say if I know, but that may be something to ask Cresius if you are ever to find him.
Understood.
The bronze and green continue to expand until they completely cover the door, and the runes glow with like this really pale light, and you hear and the door slowly swings open. There we are. Further inside, you'll find the mirror. When I had seen it last, they had it mounted on the wall. There should be sconces inside on which you can perhaps create some light. And I'm trying to recall of anything else that we had found. There was a table, desks with old literature on them. Go through the door, take a right, then a left. Do not take a second right.
a right, then a left, and then we're there.
Yes.
I was gonna say, would that imply then that we go straight, or that we would take another right? Because you said just not to take a second left.
No,
No,
don't take a second right.
I said not to take a second right. You'll go left, and then you will find a fork. There are two paths. You want to take the right. You do not want to take the second left.
You said right, then left. But you just said
Correct.
left, then right.
You will take the right, and then you will take the left. You do not want to take the second right.
Sure, this time. Switched it up again the last time. Are you sure this time? It's going to be potentially left, right, left. Is that what we're getting at?
You will take, please listen carefully. You will take a right, and then you will take a left.
Okay,
Do not take a second right.
got it.
Right, left, left.
Understood.
I'm quite confused.
Right, then left. Just, we'll lead the way, Dak. No worry.
Understood.
Good. Stay safe.
I take it you'll be leaving us at this point here.
I will. They will need me back at the settlement. So for now, this is goodbye.
Safe travels. Thank you.
Appreciate all your help.
Thank you, sir.
Of course. Our actions are our music. Be safe, all of you.
And I'll take my my lantern back from Dak, and I'll go ahead and lead the way.
All right.
Putting my bow away and pulling out my my rapier, so I have the lantern in one hand and the rapier in the other.
Mm-hmm. You step in through the entrance, and as all of you go through, you find that the walls and the ceiling are now much closer than they were before. There is just enough room for you to be able to stand maybe 2 people wide. The path is like maybe 4.5, 5 feet wide at the most. And the ceiling has come down now to where it's maybe 7 feet up.
Okay.
As you walk further in, you feel the natural darkness increasing, as well as an unnatural darkness that you aren't familiar with. And though you have your lights out, and they continue to provide light for the area immediately around you, you find that the walls are becoming darker and darker as you progress further in. Until all you can really see is each other and about a foot ahead of you.
That's a little concerning.
You hear the sound of the large steel door closing behind you. And you are in near darkness.
Can we, I guess let's our lights aren't really working. I guess
They are, in the sense that you can still see the area around you. Like you can see each other.
yeah.
And you can see like an extra foot and a half around you as well. So like the walls that are immediately next to you, you're able to see. It's just that a couple feet out from like ahead of you and behind you, it becomes just enshrouded in darkness again.
Okay. Well, let's be careful as we proceed down. It's right, then left. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Please
Don't take the second
be
round.
alert, everyone. Be alert, everyone.
I pull out my my dagger and then start walking forward because I've got the torch.
All right. I need all of you to make a nature check for me.
Nature.
Yeah.
It's just nat 20.
Ooh.
Nice.
I got a 9.
I also got a 9.
Hey.
I got a 6.
I got a rock.
Let's see if that natural 20 can carry us all.
Yes. You moving further in, you reach a point where some of you notice that, there's the occasional skittering of like a cave bug, or you see like a snail or a slug sort of moving along the wall. But as you reach a certain point, you no longer see any signs of life at all, just the cave. And moving deeper into the cavern, or at least you hope it's a cavern, the stalactites overhead, many of them are still producing beads of water that drop down. So you're just hearing this echoing bloop, 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 bloop.
Okay.
And you can hear in the walls, very faint, but it's there, it's this humming, churning sound of what you have to assume is groundwater traveling through.
Okay.
After walking for several minutes, you hit a point where the path separates. There's an enormous stalagmite coming up out of the ground, and it sort of divides the walkable part of this cave into two different sections. One of them kind of continues forward, and the other one splits off towards the right.
Okay.
The path going to the right is noticeably like it shrinks a bit, becoming a little bit smaller. The ceiling comes down a little bit more.
Okay.
To the right we go.
To the right we go.
All right. I'm going to need all of you to make a dexterity check.
All my checks have gone swimmingly today. Hey, that's a 19.
Hey, that's a 9.
Dexterity.
Dexterity, yeah.
It's a 22.
Woo.
I got a 13.
You all managed to avoid tripping over anything on the ground or like knocking into anything. The going into this path on the right, it is noticeable how smaller it becomes. Some of the taller members of the group are having to kind of like duck their head down a little bit as they're still able to stay sort of like standing up and walk through, but it's definitely the ceiling is coming in like shorter and shorter as they go.
Okay.
There's a lot less room for all of you to kind of like, walk in together. You're kind of having to get into like a single file, walking pattern as the walls are kind of coming in on you.
I'll go ahead and take point.
I take point.
Well, shouldn't
What?
the person with the light take point?
Yeah, I have a hooded lantern.
I guess, yeah. Then I guess if you're taking point, I'll take the back so that the back is illuminated.
be.
I'll be
I'll
second.
take. Oh, I was gonna say I'll take second because I'm the tank.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I'll take the remaining spot.
You continue down through this path, and you can feel the slipperiness of the rock underneath of your feet as you walk. Occasionally, you're having to kind of brace yourself on the walls to stay steady, because the floor, as it were, is definitely not like a paved out floor. Like it is literally carved out from water channels that had passed through here, hundreds and hundreds of years ago. It's like your walking space, where before it was kind of square, is now coming into like a V shape, where the walls of the cavern are kind of coming in on the sides in an angle. And so your ability to kind of walk straight is definitely being like affected by it. And the darkness continues to be very pervasive as you go through. Another 10 minutes or so passes. It feels like forever. And you reach another point where the paths seem to sort of branch off. You see a singular path that heads forward. There is another path off to the left where the cavern kind of like opens up outward again, and there's tons of stalagmites and stalactites that have formed here. And then you can see like there's a path that you'll be able to take if you go that way, that kind of goes further downward into the earth and shrinks in again. And then further on the right, there is a hole in the wall. Like there is an opening where the ground comes up, but you would be able to like crawl in through that hole. And you can see that there's actually a small light source that has been set up further into that hole, that is kind of like carved out up into the side there.
To the left.
All right.
All of you move over to the left. You easily maneuver through the stalagmites, and you find yourselves taking this kind of downward path. It's a little bit more tricky here because of how slippery the ground is, and you're moving at this very clear like downward angle. With the slope, you're having to kind of hold each other to make sure that nobody slips and falls. And eventually it kind of bottoms out and becomes flat again, and you're able to continue moving forward. There are your lantern catches something, and you realize as you move in that you've come into this like hallway that is coated in all these geodes and brilliantly bright crystals. Just absolutely beautiful quartzes that are sort of lining the walls, all built out. And your light reflects off them as such that it produces these incredible rainbow-like spectrum of colors coming off of them.
Nice.
The quartz on the left side has seemingly been kind of carved away, and so there's like this deep recess in it that kind of goes a little further in. I need everybody to make a perception check.
Okay. Oh,
That's my
7.
third 9.
To 7.
15.
Uh-oh. No.
Okay.
Did you say 63, Silva?
Yeah, I did. I rolled super good.
63 on a chart.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's see
Yeah.
what
Great.
we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
I saw a
Yeah.
2-digit number pop up, and I was like, oh.
What you missed was the initial one-digit number.
Hmm.
6 was unfortunately not just a 6.
What
That
are
was
you
a 6.
dealing with
That was a 6 minus 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, who? Remind me again. Who rolled above a 14?
Just set.
I rolled a
As-
15.
As the group is continuing along, you catch something. The light of your lantern is bouncing off of all of these beautiful geodes and quartzes. And in that recessed area where it looks like a bunch of the quartz was like cut away, you see kind of tucked away in there. At first you're like, oh, it's probably a trick of the light, but you kind of like double back because you know to be cautious. And there's a geode sticking out that kind of has the shape of like a hand.
I'll like redirect the lantern light to start pointing towards that.
You redirect the light so that it shines clearly over this recessed surface. And you can see that there's this weird geode sticking out, almost like a hand. And then there's a long form of like, it almost looks like a shale rock, except for the fact that it has like this slight translucence to it. And so you shine the light up across it, and there's a dark silhouette behind the rock, made visible by the light. And so the hand connects to an arm, which leads up to a humanoid shape pressed in behind the rock. Like a person's shadow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll point this out to everyone. I'll be like, hey guys, take a look at this. Seems odd.
Oh, it looks like a shadow.
And this is, again, because of the proximity of the walls to you, this is literally like feet away from the party. So once Set points that out to all of you and has shined their lantern on it, it is very clearly seen by everyone, this like humanoid shadow that's like in behind this rock.
I had to look for a moment. Did you go over my result?
Don't worry about that.
But I'm gonna go. No, I don't see this.
Okay.
Our response to you is going to be what?
Yeah, and just mildly disconcerting, but I don't really know what to make of this.
I don't know either. So could it be just some sort of remnant from one of their strange wizard experiments?
Well, that's what I was thinking. Dak, Silva, are you able to make out any magics behind this?
Dak will look at it and see if he can.
All right, make a what do you want this to be? What type of check do you think this should be?
Investigation.
Okay, and how are you investigating it?
I'm investigating to see if there's magic in play,
Mm-hmm.
which could also be Arcana, but investigation is better for me.
Mm-hmm. But what specifically? Like, you kind of looking at the rock itself? Are you looking at like the geodes around it? Like,
Oh, you know
are
what?
doing to investigate?
Dak is casting magical vision so that he can detect magic around.
Okay, absolutely.
So his eye lights up briefly, and he can see if the geodes are magical, or if they have any type of magic on them, or anything like that. If there's any magic around,
You activate it, and you immediately feel the familiar glow of the magic that comes from your compatriots. But when you look to this wall of geodes, you see no magic. And in fact, it feels cold. There is an absence of magic here. It is cold and quiet and bereft of arcane energy of any kind.
There is nothing magical about this.
That's bizarre. Let's keep a move on. Johannes, please be very cautious as we continue on. I don't want anything sneaking up on us.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna go even more at alert, scanning around.
You all continue to venture down further into the passageway. It begins to get a little bit smaller. So y'all are definitely rubbing elbows with each other now. You're having to kind of stoop down a little bit more to walk. It is definitely getting a little more uncomfortable as the path gets smaller still. Eventually, the walls flare out and become a little wider again, and you find yourself in a little bit of a clearing. There's an enormous stalagmite sprouting out of the ground, and it seems to kind of separate your walking space into multiple paths. To the left, there is a path that is littered with more stalagmites on the ground, but like going further down it, you can see where there's like another sort of cave-like structure that goes further down and at a slope. There's another path that you can take. You can kind of weasel your way past the large stalagmite and theoretically be able to continue forward. And then on the right-hand side, there is a hole in the wall, like an enormous hole that has been kind of carved out, and it doesn't connect to the ground. Like if you could theoretically climb up into it, and you can even see from this position that there's like a little light source that has been placed off deep into the hole that's just barely visible, but the hole itself is up into the wall, so it's not something that you can walk to. You would have to like climb up into it to be able to get there.
I guess
Wait.
one after another.
This is disconcerting. So when we were talking to TYR, he first said right then left. Then he said left then right. Then he said once again right then left. Do we take a left here?
He didn't mention anything about climbing in holes.
Yeah.
He didn't also tell us to not climb in holes.
I feel like he would have
Don't take
mentioned
the second right.
Don't take the second right. Is this the second right?
no, we already passed the second right.
Then I think the hole would be exactly what we need.
It's right left. He said left right. So do we take another left?
Can we even go left right now?
Yeah, left, forward, and right, correct?
Yes.
All right, let's put this to a vote.
Who wants to go in the hole?
I believe we should go left.
My vote will be for left as well.
No one's a fan of creepy holes and caves. That's fine. I'm okay with going left.
I mean, yeah.
Sounds like it makes sense.
We were kind of given the directions we were kind of given inevitably labeled on the 3 section.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit on our own now at this point. And the saying goes, good adventurers go left. So
Understood. Let's do it.
As we move towards the left, Set will take their rapier and kind of make a mark on the wall.
Good idea. Take a if you don't have one already, take a point of inspiration.
Oh.
Inspiration. Yeah, and then we'll continue moving on. Let's keep, continue staying alert. There's something off about this place, I feel. Obviously, wizards with their magic, everything that we've been experiencing has been off. But it's just, be safe.
I love that we've built up this scenario where there are people constantly talking about wizards while Silva just kind of is there.
Yeah.
You don't acknowledge the wizard in the room.
Those wizards are always so underhanded and sneaky.
See, I feel like all of these conversations, Silva has just kind of been like, what? Because of all of the fucking werewolf stuff that's going
Sorry,
on.
I was throwing up rat. Would you say?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
why am I being looked at it like this?
Yeah. So the vote was decided you're going to take the left path.
Correct.
Okay. You are able to move through the stalagmites that are on the ground, and you kind of work your way down into this path. So this is another, like I said, this is another sloped path where it's kind of coming at an angle, and it's definitely a sharper angle than before. So I'm going to have y'all make a dexterity check. However, if there's anything you would like to do to try to like stabilize the party, to kind of make it so that it's a little less difficult, you can do so, because the DC on this is going to be 19.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
If so it's a little steeper. I'm gonna say, in order to like make this a little easier on everyone, I'm going to take my rope and one of my daggers. I'm gonna like tie the rope around the end of it and kind of like, as I'm moving forward, like kind of anchor it into the wall, and take my second dagger, tie it to the other end, give it to Johannes, and just kind of like we'll inch forward with a makeshift guardrail
That
going
works.
down this.
That sounds good.
Everybody make your dexterity checks.
All right. 22.
27.
23.
Nice.
27 on the natural one chart.
Oh, damn it.
I got
There we are.
Yep.
I got a 16.
Oh yeah, Dak has a handlebar mustache still from the last time he got a
That's
natural
true.
one.
That's true. That hasn't gone away.
Nobody has mentioned it, and at this
um,
point, Dak is starting to feel unappreciated.
Mhm.
When did that happen?
I don't remember. I just
That was
remember seeing in my notes
It was like last episode or the one before.
2 sessions ago. It was two
2 sessions
sessions
ago,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the one I wasn't here for. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only note for that day was Dak
so
now has him
Dak, here's what also happens.
Great.
So everyone is able to kind of use this makeshift handrail rope system that Set has set up. Very, very useful. It allows you to kind of, because at this point the slope is like this.
Yeah.
And so you're able to kind of like edge your way down this path. Except for Dak, you reach out for the rope and grab onto it, and then it moves away from you. And you're like, huh? And you look, and you've actually grabbed what appears to be a snake. Except it has no eyes or a visible mouth. And its scales are like pink and white that kind of glitter in the glow of the torch. And as you grab it, it like moves itself away from you and slithers up the wall into a hole and disappears. And you lose your balance and fall, crashing onto your knees and sliding forward, knocking out the rest of the party as you go like a bowling ball, causing everyone to lose their balance and begin to tumble down the slope. This is exciting because I get to roll.
Sorry, y'all. I'm taking you all with me.
Great. That 22.
And a boop. Y'all take 4 points of damage.
I'm still I'm at 2 HP.
I'm also at 2 HP.
High five.
Damn trees.
Oh,
I want to rest so bad. We gotta get out of this wizard tower.
Well, hey, what better place to rest than deep in a cave?
That we were told
With,
is
Feet
dangerous.
below the ground.
We were told it was very dangerous.
Yeah. No, yeah. So you all fall. You tumble, rolling forward until you hit like the bottom. It plateaus out again, and you kind of crash into a big pile. And you take damage from it for sure. Some of you end up kind of banging your head on the rock a few times. It's really rough, but eventually all of you kind of collapse into one big pile at the bottom of the pathway.
My apologies.
You guys said you're like really beat up, right? Like noticeably beat up.
Yep.
Me and Dak are like hobbling, like about to, looking like we're about to pass out.
Okay. Hey guys, I didn't realize you were this beat up before. Here, and I'll hand each of you a potion of healing.
I will drink it. Just a regular one, right?
Yeah, 2d4 plus 2.
I will also drink it.
That will heal me for 4 HP.
That will heal me for 8.
Thank you. I just want to get out of this cave.
I am in agreement.
Are you guys? Is that enough? I still have another potion. I think one that I got from Tiger.
But now should be enough.
Johannes, you good?
I can live.
Okay, let's stay steady. Continue moving on.
You all get yourselves back up, and you are in a cleared out area. The walls kind of bring themselves back out. And the path ahead is divided once again. There is this enormous stalagmite that's like sprouting up out of the ground and kind of divides the path off. And on the left, there's a path that veers off to the left, and you can see that there's a bunch of stalagmites on the ground. And then it kind of, if you were to go a little ways through it, it breaks into a smaller path that heads downward at a slope. There's a path going straight forward. If you were to able to, you could probably kind of like weasel your way around the stalagmite to be able to just move straight forward if you wanted to go that way. And that path actually goes up a little bit. And then there is, on the right, there's like this large hole that's been carved out of the side of the rock there. And it's not connected to the ground per se. You would have to like crawl up into it. And at the end of it, you can just make out there's like a faint light. Like somebody's put some sort of like a light source there. But you can't just walk up into the hole. You would have to like crawl up into it to be able to get through.
Wow.
Is my mark on the wall still there?
Yes.
That's
you
what I
look
fucking
you
thought.
you immediately are like, what's up? And you check to make sure that the mark that you've corrected into the wall is there, and you do see it. But it is heavily faded, as if years and years of time has passed, and the mark is already almost completely eroded away.
What?
That's disconcerting. Okay. Shit. This doesn't seem very good, guys. Set is going to kind of sit down and enter into a like a meditative state and attempt to like kind of utilize their medium skill to kind of figure out if there's anything going on here that they can kind of discern from that.
Yeah, make a medium check for me.
It was a dirty 20.
Okay. You try to reach out to the spiritual world, and you are surprised at how quickly you feel something responding back to you, calling out to you. You look at each of the paths, and there is this disturbing lack of activity in any of them. But you realize that you've looked left and forward and right, but you haven't looked up. And as you do look up, you see these enormous cavernous ceiling above you. And there is something spiritual within that is trapped there and is calling out to you. You take your lantern and illuminate the ceiling above, and you see that it is similar to the tunnel you went through with the geodes, where it is all this like bright crystalline rock that coats this entire surface of the ceiling. And you can see above your heads 10, 12, 17 humanoid silhouettes, shadow, trapped in behind the rock. Unmoving.
How high up is the ceiling?
About 12 feet.
Oh shit. As I like figure that out, I will like try to, still utilizing that spiritual connection, try and like call out to them and like kind of like try to pull on that thread.
You reach out for them, and the thread that is there is weak. It is delicate, but it does exist. Attempting to contact them to make that connection, you feel an immediate sense of dread, of hunger, and fear that strikes through you. And there is a dissonant wailing, a moan that like echoes through the cavern as the shadows above move. They shift and they are released from the stone one by one, fading up out of sight. Unnaturally fast. And as the shadows disappear from the ceiling, the light that was in that hole off to the right side vanishes as well. And then your lights vanish as well. An unnatural darkness that immediately enshrouds you and prevents you from being able to see anything. Those of you with dark vision, you can just make out the outlines of the rock structures around you. So you're not entirely blind, but you hear something moving within the walls, and you cannot see it.
Fuck. On guard, everyone. There's something foul here.
Understood.
Got my dagger ready. So can we see anything?
Nothing.
Okay.
Only those with dark vision are able to see anything, and what they're seeing is essentially the outlines of the stalagmites and the walls around them. At the most. And that's everything else is just dark.
How like prior to all of our lights going out, how like big was this kind of split area?
This room is several feet in diameter. It is due to the stalagmites, there's not a lot of clear walking room. But the actual walls themselves do expand out so that they're several feet away from you on all sides.
Okay. Everyone, backs to each other. We can't be caught off guard.
Circle up.
And as we like kind of get into that formation, I'll reach into my bag, pull out like a handful of my ball bearings, and just kind of scatter them around us.
You hear the sound of the ball bearings hitting the ground, a cacophony of metal striking stone as they bounce and dance, and the sound of it reverberates and bounces off the walls. It's like you're sitting inside of a rainmaker. And the sound is accepted, and a reply is given in the form of unnatural scuffing and scuttering sounds that seem to come from within the walls themselves, that grow and grow as if the sounds of like hundreds of footsteps and shoes squeaking on solid ground and moving and shuffling. Dozens of bodies moving and dancing and running around you until they become completely silent. The last of the ball bearings finishes rolling off. And your lights return to you.
Quick look around, seeing if
illuminates for you again.
is there anything different? Do you guys notice anything?
I don't
Just
think
a quick look around and
Everyone make a perception check.
Perception.
15.
7.
Dirty one, not a natural one.
No.
All right, so who had the second lowest roll there?
The second lowest?
I had a 7. That's probably is that the lowest?
I've got
That
31.
was 9. Yeah, that'd be you.
It's me, yeah.
Okay. Johannes, you feel a slight bump as one of the ball bearings rolls and lands at your feet. You look
Okay.
down at it, and you can see the ball bearing. You can see several of them, really, that have kind of collected at various places. And among the stalagmites around you, you can see, from the light that's being shown, you can see your own shadow being cast out from underneath you.
Okay.
And you notice that your shadow, as the last of the ball bearings sort of rolls away, the shadow steps away from you
Okay.
and walks over to join Dak's shadow.
Dak, watch out. Something's happening with our shadows, everyone.
What's going on?
Immediately look down to the shadows and
Set. You look down at your shadow, and your shadow perfectly matches your movements. It appears normal. And then it stops. Johannes, your
Yeah.
shadow takes Dak's shadow by the hand and brings it with it and sort of flings it around, and the two of them crawl up onto the wall and begin crawling away from you into the darkness.
Everything we fight is magical, and I have no magic. I'm gonna... Dak, do you see that? Do you feel okay? Do I feel anything different? Do I feel weird?
You feel colder.
Colder. I'm gonna reach out and try to touch my shadow that's climbing up the wall.
Oh, okay.
Have faith, yeah. Reach out and touch.
You reach over to touch the shadow on the wall, and you manage to touch it right where the foot is sort of stepping away. And when you do, the shadow rotates in place and kind of whips around. And then it swipes, and when it does, a real arm juts out from the wall, grabs onto your chest, and pulls you in. And you all see as Johannes disappears into his shadow. Johannes's shadow pulls him in, and then begins to make its way up the wall. The movement's disjointed as the arms bend back over each other and twist in impossible ways, moving up. And you see as the other shadows also begin to shake and twist, and you begin to hear that sound echoing through the walls. And Silva. Your shadow is long gone. And as you look around, you don't see it anywhere.
Where'd mine go? Where'd mine go?
Where's Set? Or where's Johannes?
It sucked into a shadow. Where'd mine go?
So like all of our shadows moved up and are making like the weird stuff that we can't see. Silva's.
Your shadows have all moved away from you and are now on the walls, just sort of moving about and twisting and contorting.
Fun. And we all saw Johannes get sucked into their shadow.
Mm-hmm.
I have my rapier out. I'm gonna like kind of jab into where my shadow is on the wall.
You strike forward. I need you to make an attack roll for me.
Yep. Actions. It's a natural one.
No.
Oh, no.
Go ahead and roll your D100 there.
That's a 5.
That's not good.
Ooh, that's a single digit.
That's really not good for this specific jerk. Okay. All right. Crazy question. Remind me again. Johannes, how many hit points were you at?
I was at 6.
Okay. And Derek, how many hit points were you at?
10.
10. Silva, how many hit points are you at?
16.
16. So 6, 10, and 16. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 32 hit points altogether.
Yeah.
Like it?
Okay,
Yeah.
Set, how many hit points do you have?
22.
Yeah, okay. You stab into the shadow. And the shadow shakes its head like it's disappointed in you, and its two jet black arms emerge from the wall, wrapping you into a hug and pull you in.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Silva and Dak, alone in the cave now. You see as Set is yanked into the wall. Where the shadow stood, there are now two shadows. And
Oh,
the
no.
shadow, the first Set's original shadow, takes this new formed one and grabs its shoulders and sort of rotates it towards him. Though it's hard for you to tell because of the perspective of a shadow always being flat. And takes the shadow by the shoulders and then takes the head and rotates.
Oh.
And there's no sound. And the second shadow crumples and falls to the ground. Johannes's shadow crawls up the wall and produces another shadow that is the same height, shorter in stature. And it takes this shadow, and it takes the head, and it places it up against a geode. And then it slams the head against the geode several times and drops the shadow. And you see that shadow, too, falls limp up against the wall. Dak, your shadow twists on itself like a Cirque du Soleil performer and begins walking on its hands and knees backwards across the wall over to the other side.
All right.
And you notice that off in the corner, there is another shadow being produced by one of the stalagmites, and it bends over and moves in, and as it does, the silhouette of what appear to be like butterfly wings encroaches out from it. And this humanoid shadowy form sort of falls away from the shadow of the stalagmite and joins Dak's shadow. And they combine with each other and form this mass of shadowy arms and legs that dances across the wall and moves at this horrible, erratic speed, continuing to gain arms and legs as it travels. And as it's moving along and growing larger and more erratic, Silva. What is the first spell that comes to your mind?
And I guess the first one I thought about was Chill Touch.
Right. If you would like to, you can cast that right now, and you won't use a spell slot.
Damn, I can save a spell slot for that cantrip?
Yeah.
Dude, what savings? Oh my god. The savings.
Savings, y'all.
My man, why wasn't my first thought Fireball?
Right.
I mean, at what?
It
The
should have been,
shadows?
yeah.
I guess.
It's up to you if you even want to. It's
Magic
your
missile
call.
into the
You're
darkness.
essentially more so,
Yeah.
I guess, because it's a cantrip. We wouldn't think of this as like, oh, you're getting a free spell slot. It's more like you're getting a free action here when you're not in initiative.
Man, I'll attempt to Chill Touch a shadow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So get this back up. You are surprised to find that when you perform Chill Touch on the shadow, you are greeted with warmth. In a very concerning amount of warmth, as if the thing you are touching is alive. The thing in the wall becomes immediately still, absolutely still, like a shadow should be. And then you hear in the back of your mind the sound of laughter, the type that echoes off the walls of the cave. A subtle laughter that becomes grander and grander. And it is the sound of a choir of voices all laughing together. And within it, you hear the laughter of Set and you hear the laughter of Johannes. The laughter
how the laugh was.
grows and grows and grows in your mind. And then the lights go out again. Next week, we will continue from here. And we shall see what the remaining 2 living members of the party will do.
What do you mean by living?
They will have to find some way out of this situation so that they may discover the mirror and hopefully be able to return back to the tower. But until then, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for playing. And remember, a cave has only 1 entrance, and a cavern has 2. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
I didn't know that. Is that true?